Welcome to JADAK's Smart RFID Technologies What's in It for You webinar. My name is Justina Valencia, and I'm part of the marketing group here at JADAK North America. On the line, we also have our presenter, Dan Ratner, who's our RFID application engineer at JADAK. At today's webinar, we'll provide you with details about our complete line of HF and UHF products, how to select the right RFID technology for your needs, in addition to reviewing a sample of applications and deployments that demonstrate how RFID can benefit you. We encourage you to type in any questions you may have into the Q&A window located at the top right-hand corner of the screen to the webinar, so I can read your questions to Dan once he has finished his presentation. We'll do our best to answer all your questions. However, if time does not allow it, we will email you back the answers to your questions. At this moment, I'd just like to request that everyone mute their lines so we can get started. Dan, please take it away.
Thanks, Justina. All right, first, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I joined ThingMagic 10 years ago as their technical product manager for the module product lines. Then a few years later, I returned to my engineering roots to become manager of a support group that helped customers integrate ThingMagic products into RFID-based solutions. With the acquisition of ThingMagic by JADAK, now I've joined the North American sales team as an application engineer. And I'll be concentrating on RFID for now, but I'm very excited to incorporate JADAK's other product lines into my solution toolbox moving forward. All right, here's the topics I'm going to cover today. I'll introduce the JADAK and ThingMagic companies, and then present our product lines. Then I'll discuss the pros and cons of HF and UHF technologies, and finally give some examples of how JADAK and ThingMagic customers have used these technologies to create innovative solutions to achieve their business goals. Oh, gotta hit that pointer right on. Come on. There we go. Okay, JADAK was founded in 2000. Two of the four founders came from Welsh Allen, and they pioneered technology that read barcodes with a camera rather than the standard laser scanners such as you'd see in a retail checkout counter. Since that time, we've expanded that technology base to include machine vision, RFID, printing, and visual measurement products. We've become experts at adding technology to medical diagnostic devices that not only enhance what the devices already do by automating processes that have to be manually performed without our technology, but also by adding new features and capabilities to the devices using our optical and RFID technologies. I'll show some examples later on in the presentation. JADAK was purchased by Novanta in 2014. Novanta's products are also in the medical space and dovetail very nicely with JADAK's products. Novanta specializes in product interface displays and extremely accurate surgical room displays, also precision motion devices for robotic surgery and lasers for surgery and DNA analysis. Let's take a closer look now at JADAK's product line. The technology I mentioned that was the starting point to read barcodes with a camera has evolved in three directions. First, the barcode reading itself has been enhanced as barcodes evolved from the one-dimensional stripy barcodes that you might be familiar with on products in the supermarket shelves to 2D barcodes, those little square QR codes that you see today that can hold quite a bit of information. Second, the camera system has been enhanced to not only read barcodes, but to recognize shapes and colors and can then make sure that what's in front of the little camera is what ought to be there before a test is performed. Third, the ability to transfer information via barcodes has grown into an information transfer via RFID, first by high-frequency RFID and most recently by ultra-high-frequency RFID. We at JADAK are especially excited about the possibility of integrating the machine vision technology with RFID. UHF RFID is perfectly suited to gathering information about devices, and then the vision systems are perfectly suited to detect conditions of objects and determine the relative location of objects, which is very difficult using RFID. ThingMagic was founded about the same time as JADAK in 2000. Originally, our business plan was to offer general engineering design services, hence the name ThingMagic. But after being asked to build the first firmware-driven UHF RFID reader to prove the feasibility of the new Generation 2 UHF RFID protocol, the founders decided to specialize in that technology and bring UHF RFID reader products to market. A couple years later, we helped Intel develop the first UHF RFID reader chipset, which then became the basis of our module product line. In 2010, we were acquired by Trimble Navigation, and we helped them develop asset and personnel tracking solutions for the construction industry. Now, we are now very pleased to have the ThingMagic products and solutions become part of JADAK's portfolio, which will give us an opportunity to expand further into the medical marketplace. You can see in this picture how the UHF RFID reader technology has evolved since 2005. That big reader there we call the pizza box reader is basically the equivalent of that little module you see to the side that's being held by hand. ThingMagic's market focus has traditionally been on enabling other companies to create products and offer solutions. Here's some examples of the products that have been created from the ThingMagic modules. Let me get a little pointer here. There we go. All right, first up, we are the dominant supplier of modules to the UHF RFID printer market. Our modules are found in desktop printers and portable printers. And as you can see, they not only commission the tags, but they'll print they'll thermal print the tags as well. They've been incorporated in point of sales terminals, as shown here, for near field applications. They've been incorporated into outdoor antennas so that they can be used all in one and not affected by the environment. They've been used in both the smart cell phone type handhelds and also these wand handhelds that simply grab the information and send it via Bluetooth to either a handheld or a PC where the information is processed. One very innovative solution is the use in these marketing kiosks. Oftentimes these little kiosks are put into a store, and the vendor wants to know, okay, what the customer interest is, but of course the store is busy doing their things, so they build the RFID reader, they tag the items, build the RFID reader into these kiosks, and then send the information via cell phone about what products are getting interacted with and taken off the shelves, back to their headquarters. Then that helps them with their stocking and also helps them with their, marketing feedback to know, what customers are interested in. We've been put in a variety of warehousing products, warehouse readers. Here you can see a reader that's suspended from the ceiling, a reader and antenna together. Here's a door portal type reader that sits alongside the door and then can read people and things coming and going. And then finally, we've been incorporated into some very rugged products. Shown here is a rugged forklift reader, which you can imagine takes a lot of abuse in its normal operation. All right, come on. There we go. All right, so let's look at the RFID products that we offer. First up is the JADAK handheld reader platform. In order to simply and efficiently add barcode and RFID scanning to medical devices, JADAK developed handheld readers that appear as a keyboard entry device to PCs, providing both barcode and RFID information to the host. The reader can be either tethered directly to the device via a USB connection, or the device itself can be Bluetooth enabled, transfer its information wirelessly to a base plate, and then that base plate is tethered to the medical device. The reader supports a wide variety of barcode and RFID protocols, so you don't have to choose your tag protocol to match the reader. You can pretty much make that decision independently that's best for your application. And for more complex applications, it may, for example, involve writing to tags and that sort of thing. These devices can be configured with a communications interface. So instead of looking like just a keyboard device sending whatever data it collects, it can actually interactively communicate with its host to do more complex functions. Typical applications for these handheld scanners are patient identification via wristband scanning, hospital personnel login via badge scanning, pharmaceutical drug inventory tracking, and capturing of digital signatures. For HF RFID applications that require a different form factor than a handheld scanner, JADAK offers a line of HF RFID modules. The M1 Mini is the smallest module. It's about the size of a watch face. It has an internal antenna, so it can easily be embedded into existing medical devices. For example, where a tagged connector on an accessory into a medical device would be plugged into that device, and then the device would recognize that accessory in order to operate correctly with that accessory. It's ideal for HF RFID applications that require a greater reading range and high levels. If you require a greater reading range and higher levels of security, the M2 module is ideal. It supports the option to either use an internal antenna or it's got a connector for an external antenna. And as I mentioned, it has advanced security via encryption protocols. AES protocols, if you're familiar, they're the military security protocols that were developed and are virtually uncrackable. The third module, the Gemini module, is developed for NFC applications. NFC is the protocol used in payment systems. And an upcoming release is going to allow this to actually talk reader to reader, much like if you've seen ads for two cell phones being bumped together and transferring contact information. That's the same protocol that'll be used here, which will enable a greater variety of solutions. The UHF RFID product line is also quite extensive. The flagship module is our 4-port M6E module. It supports the highest RF level for long-distance reading, and it'll read at speeds up to 750 tags per second and supports a variety of protocols. It's ideal for applications where several read points are required, separated by cables, such as dock door portals and that sort of thing, where the dock doors are fairly large and you want to surround the dock door on top and sides so that as pallets come through you can read things. The micro product line has the same capabilities as the M6E module from a protocol standpoint. It's got fewer ports and slightly less RF power in a much smaller, more flexible package. It can either be soldered down in the configuration you see in the picture here where the shield is up, or you can flip it and mount it board to board to a motherboard. Now, why would you want those two options? Well, the solder down would be if you're developing a device that you always want to do UHF RFID. But if you have a device that sometimes may need it, sometimes not, then that flip mount would allow you to add this as an accessory after the manufacturing process and before it goes out the door to the customer. This module is perfect for handheld readers and desktop readers. The nano module is used in applications where you really need small size and low DC power consumption, and rather than the pure read speed and power of our other modules. So this is used often in desktop commissioning or very small handheld readers. And also, as I mentioned, when you're incorporating this into existing devices, smaller is way better. All right, there we go. The module product line has been built into a set of readers that are suitable for a variety of applications. We offer two desktop readers, the USB Plus and the USB Pro. The USB Plus is mainly used for tag commissioning, such as race timing applications. The USB Pro has the same internal antenna, so it can be used just like the USB Plus, but it also has an external connection. So if you say don't want to read around the area of the reader, you want to maybe have more pinpoint reading, or for example, if these have been used in the back of a kiosk where at a trade show where you want to come up with your card and tap it, and automatically the trade show alerts your Facebook page that and says that you're there. Then you'd want a slightly different antenna, so you just connect that antenna to the external port, place it in the back of the kiosk, and you're off and running. The Vega reader was designed for in-vehicle use, and it's used in applications such as trash collection, where the truck has a reader on it, and the antennas are very close to the arms that pick up the bins, and the bins have tags on them. So what happens is the truck comes by, picks up the bin. As the bin is being raised to be emptied, the tag's read, and that way the customers can be billed based on exactly how many bins they drag to the curb, rather than just how many times the truck is visited. The Astra EX is a full capability fixed mount reader with one antenna mounted to it. You can kind of see that at the top, and one port on the side that can accommodate a second antenna. It's got a Linux processor inside, so it can accommodate custom programs that are tailored to specific applications. If, for example, if you need a specific, the tag information to be a specific output, or you want the reader to interact with its GPIO lines, where you want a trigger reading on a certain thing, and maybe even light up a light stack if you see it tags as an output, that sort of thing. Very commonly used in access portal applications, such as allowing entry to private parking garages. And with those GPO lines, it can actually move the boom bar. When it recognizes the tag on the car, it can actually raise the boom gates and let the car in. For installations that don't have AC outlets, you can imagine by a dock door there's not always an AC outlet right there. The Astra EX supports power over Ethernet. So you just have to bring the network connection to the reader, and that will also contain the power to drive the reader. Conversely, you may not have you may have AC power there where you want to read, but you may not have a network connection. For that, we have an option to have a Wi-Fi card built into the reader, so that then you can go to the nearest Wi-Fi router, and you're off and running. The Mercury 6 has the same architecture as the Astra EX, but has 4 ports instead of the 2 ports, and no built-in antenna. This is used in applications, as I mentioned, where you have dock doors where you want to surround the dock door with multiple antennas, because you're bringing pallets through that have tagged items inside the pallet, and so you need to be able to read from all different angles to make sure you catch all the tags inside. The Sargus reader is the newest reader in our product line. It fits right into the palm of your hand. It looks here like it's as big as the other readers, but really it's smaller, but it's still got the same Linux processor in it, and with the same programming capabilities. And you can, it's small enough you can actually think about using this as an embedded product, an embedded smart reader that you can use inside cabinets and that sort of thing, whereas the other readers might be a little bit too large. There we go. The entire UHF RFID product line, the modules and the readers, are compatible with a single application programming interface. The API is available in 3 programming languages to support standard host platforms. The Java API here is designed for Linux workstations, Apple OS X, that if you know is based on Linux, also Android operating systems for Android handhelds. The C#.NET API is designed for Windows environments, both Windows desktop environments and Windows mobile environments for Windows smartphones, that sort of thing. The C API works with the Apple iOS system, so the Apple iPhone type devices, but also it works with embedded systems where you've got a little tiny processor driving the reader module, and it doesn't have an operating system at all. It just has its own programs and needs to be able to talk to the reader. And actually, the C API is kind of ubiquitous and can actually work on a lot of the other platforms too. And our API comes with a lot of sample applications, from very complex GUI-based applications that we supply all the source code for, so you can modify a very nice GUI application to do what you need, to what we call codelets, which are just little snippets of code that do little more than attach to a reader and do some specific function and then return. They're all command line driven, and they illustrate exactly how you should implement various features. So it becomes very easy then to combine these codelets, take the unique code from the middle of each one, combine it together to do what you need, and then you're off and running. All right, so now if in your application you have the flexibility to use either HF or UHF, how would you choose one or the other for your application? Now, first of all, read range. UHF RFID read distances are specified in meters, whereas HF read distances are specified in centimeters. But what if 8 to 10 centimeters is all you need for your application? Should you always pick HF RFID? Not necessarily. HF readers do consume less DC power than UHF readers, so especially if you're in a battery situation or something like that, that can be very important. The antenna technology is usually simpler for HF systems too. It's just a simple multi-loop antenna that as I mentioned, where our modules have the antenna built in, it's just a simple loop antenna on a PC board, and you're off and running. UHF antennas tend to be, they can be small, but usually then to get that smallness, they go up a bit in cost. Whereas the ones that are really inexpensive tend to be like maybe 10 centimeters on a side. So if you're building an antenna into something, it's quite possible with UHF RFID, but it's not quite the cheap and dirty thing that you'll see with HF. Tag capabilities also will favor one technology or the other. HF RFID tags have kind of evolved to store a lot of information and support very complex cryptographic security because they're used for payment systems and that sort of thing. UHF RFID tags, they can support those features too, but you'll have fewer vendors that supply those tags, so you may have to compromise on other things because not every vendor of those kind of tags will have every capability that UHF RFID tags can do. Now, on the plus side for UHF RFID, it's designed to read hundreds of tags per second. HF RFID is designed to just read one tag or just very few tags. And if in your application you can guarantee that the RFID tag will always be face on to the antenna, then HF RFID is a good choice. But what if the orientation isn't guaranteed? You've tagged an object, it's getting brought close to the reader, but you can't guarantee that the object is always going to be the same orientation. Well, the UHF RFID tags were designed for this. They read very well, you know, in their long edge all the way around, even edge on, and they even have tags that are square. They can read equally well from any direction at all. The final criteria here that I'll mention is the impact of the tagged material. HF RFID is less affected if it comes near a conductive surface, but if you put it on a conductive surface, it's all over. It won't be able to read. UHF RFID tags, if you get within maybe like a centimeter of a conductive surface, they start to get it detuned. But some clever vendors have developed UHF RFID tags that actually are designed to work specifically on a conductive surface, and they use that surface as their antenna structure, so they can sit right on the metal surface and read quite well. All right, let's look at some application examples that use this technology. A customer who still manufactures laser scalpel control units needed to be able to identify the type of laser scalpel in order to auto-configure the control unit and have the correct settings for the specific scalpel being used. Originally, barcodes on the scalpel connector were used to transfer this information, and a reader on the control unit would identify you know, by that barcode which scalpel it was. But barcodes, they tend to wear off with handling. You know, if they get dirty at all, they don't read as well. So the challenge was brought to JADAK. Can you add RFID to this, which is, you know, a technology that won't be affected by the surface? However, we don't want to obsolete all the barcoded scalpels that we've already sold. What can you do for us? Well, JADAK, what you can see from the picture, what they developed is a very small reader that incorporates both the optical, which is the little hole in the center there, and the HF RFID, which is that board around. And you can see the euro coin there shown for comparison to the size. So in the same space that had been used just for a barcode reader before, the HF and the UHF technology was added. What they also did was to have the same interface that the previous barcode-only reader had implemented, both from a connector and a protocol standpoint. So it wasn't necessary to change the software in the device to accommodate the new reader. The new reader could just be dropped in. So this was a very welcome solution. There we go. This next example is a solution provided to a company who manufactured surgical pumps. These pumps were used to circulate saline solutions during knee and hip replacements, and the saline solutions would actually be pumped in to the point of surgery. The customer had been finding that not all hospitals were replacing the two sets of tubes after each surgery. They were just trying to, you know, in third world countries, they were trying to wash them out or something like that to lower the expense. And they were very worried also that third parties then might come in with lower cost tubing that just wouldn't work as well as what they offered. So to solve these problems, an RFID tag was added to both sets of tubes, the input and output tubing set, at the point where they connect to the pump. JADAK designed a small RFID reader with two tethered antennas. You can kind of see it right here to the left in the picture. And that was mounted inside the pump. So when a new tubing set is inserted into the instrument, the reader writes to the tag, ensuring that the tubing can't be used again once it's disconnected. And to ensure that third parties couldn't simply copy the RFID tags and offer replacement hoses, the tags are password protected. As I say, the HF tags are very good with security. In this third example, a manufacturer of in vitro test devices had several problems they were trying to solve relating to the replaceable reagents that are used in their urinalysis machines. First, they wanted to be able to transfer information about the exact reagent formula that was in the bottle, because different lots of reagents would be slightly differently, and the machine had to be calibrated correctly for that exact formula for best results. Secondly, they were worried that users might purchase reagents from a third party, and the reagents might not have the correct formulation for the accurate measurements. So by tagging the reagent bottles using RFID and embedding a reader into the device, they could solve both of these problems at one time. An RFID tag protected by advanced cryptographic protocols was placed on the reagent bottles, and then calibration information was encoded into it and read by the machine when the reagent bottle was installed. The doses that were used were counted and written to the tag so that when the bottle was empty, the bottle couldn't be reused. The counting system was also used to warn the user when the reagent bottle was nearly empty. And in the unlikely event that a third party discovered the cryptographic key and started cloning the tags, both the keys and the cryptographic algorithm itself could be field upgraded if necessary. Here's an example of how UHF RFID was used to automate pharmaceutical distribution. When you've got drugs in a cabinet, sort of as shown here in the lower left, using manual inventory techniques, it's very time-consuming to make sure you've got the required quantities of the drugs and to ensure that none have reached their expiration date. A manual system of inventory like this requires that the employee accessing the cabinet accurately records what they took. And if a nurse or something is in a critical patient situation, they're not always going to take the time to do that. So placing the UHF RFID tags on the packaging and then creating a reader system inside the cabinet gave a variety of benefits. First of all, the person accessing the cabinet was identified by their badge, and then anything they took was immediately recorded and associated with them in the database. The expiration codes were also encoded into the tags so that the system could alert personnel as to which tags had to be replaced. Lot numbers were also encoded into the tags, so if there was a recall, the affected products could be quickly identified and then removed from the shelves. And of course, management appreciated that all this inventory data was available in real time. Here's an example from the retail space. Kion's a company based in Spain that focused on advanced retail systems. They used UHF RFID in a standard way where, looking at things moving into a stock room and that sort of thing. Also, in a very common way to have readers on the shelves to read the inventory. But they also started moving into the customer space in the store. They RFID enabled the shelves where the stock was, where the customers could access it. They also put what they call magic mirror displays in the changing rooms. The changing rooms would then recognize what items were brought in. They could then suggest alternate sizes, tell whether those sizes were in stock, suggest alternate items that could be purchased. And of course, it sort of would serve as an anti-theft type of application too, knowing what was brought into the room and and taken out. So due to the wide range of applications, both warehouse and you know, and interfacing with the customer, Keon needed to partner with an RFID module company that had a wide variety of modules, you know, small, you know, desktop to large, you know, reader enabling modules, and they selected ThingMagic for that reason and built their readers around that. You can see here two examples. Here's their reader built around, their reader board built around the Nano, and here's their reader board built around the 4-port M6E module. Now Ford came to ThingMagic with an idea for RF enabling their trucks so that contractors would be sure they had the equipment needed for a job. This is something that's very common occurrence in for contractors, where they'll think they got everything for a job. They'll get to the job site, which is often, you know, many miles away from their depot, and they won't have something. Chances are they then send their guys off to a hardware store to buy something that they already had back at the shop. So what this system did is well, first of all, the challenge and why they had to come to ThingMagic is that they had a very aggressive cost target for this system. So, and several other RFID solutions vendors that said, no, I don't think we can meet that. But ThingMagic, because of their theoretical background, kind of knew it could be done and developed this system. So the reader was in the back of the cab, 2 antennas in the back of the pickup. It had a screen in the cab. With the screen, they would not have to count items as they were read. It was already pre-programmed back at headquarters. They'd press the button for the type of job they were doing. It would inventory and tell them that they had everything they needed for the job or not. When they went to leave the job site, they could then press the button again and make sure that all the equipment was back in the truck. Now this whole project was a partnership between Ford and a tool maker, DeWalt, because DeWalt wanted to be the primary tool supplier, so they wanted to pre-tag their tools with RFID tags. So they also came to ThingMagic and asked them to tell them where on the tool the best place was to put a tag so that then it could be reliably read when it was in the back of the truck. So until very recently, this whole system, it was called the Tooling System, available on Ford's F and E series trucks and their Transit Connect vans. So now you've seen some examples of what we have done for other customers. What can we do for you? We got the capability to do hardware, software, mechanical engineering to design what you need. We can offer or recommend peripheral elements that support the readers, such as antennas, multiplexers, that sort of thing. We can help you select the tags, and we support advanced tag features, like I mentioned, the cryptographic security for both HF and UHF tags, and we support UHF RFID sensor tags if that's what your application requires. The quality is exceptionally high with JADAK products because our market focus has been centered around healthcare, and so we had to get certified under both the ISO 9001 and the ISO 13485 standards. Manufacturing is a particular strength of ours. We both have the ability to manufacture complex, low-volume products in-house, but we also have a high-volume manufacturing facility to develop, say, our off-the-shelf products, such as the modules. And finally, we provide exceptional customer service during and after development. Our goal is to have the ThingMagic engineering team be as accessible and responsive to a customer's as a customer's own engineering team. Sometimes we're even more responsive than the customer's own engineering team. And once the product is in production, we maintain strict revision control of your individual product that's built for you through the end of life of your solutions. So you don't have to worry that a change that's made for someone else's a product that's based on the same technology is going to affect yours. It's maintained completely separately, completely as a different SKU. And if you know about these different broadcasting technologies, RFID, we can help you when you develop your device to get you certification, so your product is ready to sell. All right, let's see if there are any questions that have come in during my presentation.
Yeah, Dan, I've been taking questions here on the back end. We have a bunch of really good questions, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. The nano module, is this solder down only, and how does one test it?
Okay, very good question. So it is solder down only, so it can fit in very small places. But when you buy this thing, it's I think the concern of the person asking is, okay, I've got a module. Do I have to design a motherboard before I can even see if this is going to work in our application? No, you don't. We provide a development kit that has the nano mounted on a small carrier board, and then the development kit has a motherboard that then can connect into a PC, and you can use those sample applications, as I mentioned, what we call Universal Reader Assistant, to then test out the nano as it would be used with the antenna you choose. We actually have a sample antenna in the development kit and sample tags, so you can right out of the box with these dev kits, you can start reading tags and start staging your application.
Okay, another question we have come in. It says, do your products work with UHF sensors tags like the Farsons Phoenix?
Oh, Farsons is a very interesting company in that they have passive sensor tags. We work with a variety of sensor tags. Most of them have a battery incorporated in them, so they can continue to collect data even if there's no reader around to power them. But the Farsons has taken a different approach and said, okay, when you bring a reader near, it not only lights up the RFID portion, but also lights up the portion that'll take a measurement. And I believe the Phoenix is its temperature and maybe humidity or something like that. And yes, we work very well with it. And ThingMagic, we aren't a company that sells tags as well. So a lot of reader or module companies, they only want you. It's kind of a razor and razor blade situation where they want you to buy their tags, so they're not going to put any features in their reader module that isn't supported by their tags. JADAK is, we say it's Tagnostic. We love all tags, and we keep enhancing our products to work with tags to enable a variety of solutions.
Okay, yeah, we have a whole bunch of questions coming in now. Another question we have come in is, does the Ford reader communicate with the vehicle via the vehicle CAN bus?
That reader is not CAN bus enabled. It was actually the reader developed for that Ford solution, and so it uses a serial interface that went to that in-dash solution. With a CAN bus solution, maybe one of our other readers within with a CAN bus interface device would work in that kind of application.
Okay. If I want to start to sell my products using the micro in one of the countries you support, then do I need any more certifications?
Okay, as a module vendor, we've gone as far as we can with certifying that to be able to then transfer as much of that certification to you as possible. FCC and a couple countries around the world allow modular certification. What that means is that if the module is certified, you build a module into your equipment, you don't put an antenna on it that's unusual, then your equipment is certified as what they call an intentional radiator. Europe is somewhat similar. We've done all the testing required and to prove that it passes, But when you build our module into Reader, it's up to you to not only provide those test reports that we can provide to you, but also write up a declaration of conformity that says, yes, we pass the European standards. Of course, anything not having to do with transmission, safety and medical type certifications, that cannot be done at the module level. That has to be done at the Reader level. And we can help you get through those if you need it.
Alrighty, so we have so many questions coming in, we might have to answer some offline, so I'm just going to keep digging through. We have another question that says, we bought a reader 4 years ago, the USB Reader Plus. The program was developed for this version. Are compatible for one currently purchased Reader Plus or Pro?
Okay, so the USB Reader Plus uses the M5E compact module. The USB Reader Pro uses the micro module. As long as your application was 4 years ago was built so that your program talks to our API, you are golden. You can use either one of those readers. As I mentioned before, they both have the same similar internal antenna. However, the micro base can actually go up to 30 dBm, so it can read further with its internal antenna than the USB Plus that goes up to 23 dBm, and plus the Pro then also has that external port that gives you a lot of flexibility in how to use that product.
Alrighty. The M6E and the micro modules are both rated at 10-meter read range. If the M6E goes up to a 31.5 dBm, why can't it read further?
Okay, good point. So the 10 meters is based on 30 dBm into the antenna. Now, in most countries, that's all you're allowed to put into the antenna. What FCC, the U.S. and other countries that have adopted the FCC standard allow is they say, okay, you can only go up to 30 dBm, which is 1 watt, into the antenna. But if you've got a long cable between the reader and the antenna, you're allowed to push a bit more power into the cable. You'll have some loss in the cable, and then once it gets to the antenna, you're still at the 30 dB 1 watt level. So, why would you need a long cable? Well, that's kind of for the applications that I was mentioning where you've got this dock door or something. I mean, dock doors can be, 8 foot wide and 12 foot high. If you don't want to use, multiple readers around this, you'll have to say mount a reader above the door and have the cables then go to the antennas that surround the dock door. And that's where then you've got this cabling issue where you normally if you couldn't put out more power than is allowed, you'd lose a little bit of performance then because of the cabling. But with that 31.5 dBm, then you're right back up to matching an antenna that's connected directly to the reader.
Okay. Another question that just came in was the USB Pro and the Sargas readers both seem to have 2 antenna ports. When would I use one over the other?
Okay, great. Now they not only have 2 antenna ports, but if you looked at the data sheets closely, they both use the micro module. So they would seem to be very similar, but not quite. First of all, the Sargas is a smart reader. It's got a Linux board in there. So, and the USB Pro is tethered via its USB cable. It's tethered and powered by the USB cable to a local host. So if you've got a local host that's going to control the reader, yeah, maybe the USB Pro is what you want. But if you want to put this reader out somewhere and have it independently make decisions and store its tags into a database and that sort of thing, it's the Sargas you'd want. The other thing is they're both 2 ports, but the USB Pro, one of the ports is dedicated to that internal antenna. So if you need 2 antennas of a different type, like a far reading antennas, then the Sargas would be the way to go. Yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, there's other differences as well. The Sargas has some very interesting external ports. One that can drive a display. It can it can take a memory stick and a lot of other things. So, smart reader versus a tethered reader is sort of the starting point for the differences. Also, the USB Pro is limited at 50 tags per second because it uses the LT module, and the thought is it would be used for near field applications or far field applications that aren't reading a warehouse full of tags, and whereas the Sargus is really meant for the high volume applications.
Okay. Now, everyone, just bear with us. We do have a lot of questions coming in, so if we don't get to your questions, we'll answer them offline. Dan, moving on to the next question. You say on one slide that the modules can read 10 meters, but when comparing UHF and HF, it says 4 meters. Why the difference?
Okay, yeah, I was trying to be, sort of thinking about the typical application. If you have the maximum gain allowed antenna with a reader attached to it, and you put a tag on like a foam core board, you can easily go out to 10 meters with that. And oftentimes, if you see tag specifications, you'll see 10 meters or even longer. But try to think about this in a practical sense, where you want to be able to say, okay, if I'm making my tag decision sort of independently of the reader, what's a distance that I could use a smaller tag, or I wouldn't have to worry if the tag material detuned the tag a little bit, or maybe the tag wasn't oriented ideally to the antenna. So that's why I said, okay, let's if I want to just sort of a slam dunk application, let's talk 4 meters instead of 10 meters.
Okay. Another question is, where can I buy the HS2R scanner?
The HS2R scanner is available directly from JADAK, and so contact us about it. As I mentioned, right now it's been used in solutions for people where the interfaces were customized for a particular application, and if that is what you want, we're off and running.
Okay. How long does it take to get 200 micro modules?
Our lead time on that is 2 weeks.
Okay. And there are some other few questions that I think we're going to actually choose to answer offline, because I think they probably require a much longer descriptive answer. So for those people who did not get their answers, their questions answered right away, we will email you within the next hour or two and start a conversation with you about your particular question. Dan, if you could just go to the next slide that shows our trade shows.
Oh, of course. All righty.
That concludes our questions for this portion.
All right. Here are the upcoming events that we'll be attending if you want to see our products in person. From May 9th to 11, we'll be at RFID Journal Live in Phoenix, Arizona. This trade show is dedicated to all forms of RFID and the vertical industries that are served by RFID. From May 15th to 18th, we'll be at the CMEF show in Shanghai, China. This show is dedicated to the healthcare market and features 7,000 exhibitors from 30 countries. In early August, we'll be at the AACC show in San Diego. This show focuses on clinical laboratory science and solutions. And then in mid-November, we'll be attending the Medica show in Dusseldorf, Germany. This is a trade fair for the medical industry in general, including major product categories as medical technology, laboratory equipment, and diagnostics, where our products play very well. And at the bottom of the screen here, you can see our email and phone number if you want to talk to us right now. Operators are waiting.
Thank you, Dan. At this time, I'd like to thank all of our attendees for joining the webinar today, and a special thanks to our presenter, Dan Ratner. A recording of this session will be automatically emailed to those who registered for the event within the next 24 hours. If any of our attendees have further questions on RFID or any of our other technologies, we invite you to visit our website, jadaktech.com, or schedule a tech day with us by emailing techday@jadaktech.com for a free technology consultation. Thanks again for attending, and have a great day.